Hey Vanlife fam, welcome back to the channel. Welcome to episode 3 of 5 of my van life in Scotland series. Today we're going to be heading from the northeast coast over to the west. Come and join me for my adventures. Let's go! Welcome back to the channel everybody. On today's episode we're going straight from Inverness up the north coast and across to the east side. So in today's episode, you've got lots to look forward to. We're going to be heading to some of the most beautiful beaches in Scotland, looking at some of the most romantic mountainside park-ups, heritage sites, as well as some well-known spots on the NC 500 and a few new hidden gems. The route I'm deciding to take from Inverness is up to Groats. There's lots to stop and do on the way, but because I'm pushed for time with only 2 weeks off before I'm out of the country on another job, I've got to put my foot down a little bit. If you really want to deep dive into some of Scotland's most magical folklore, I would also take a little pit stop at Rossmarkie. There's a fantastic fairy trail there through mythical looking woodland, and you feel like you're straight out of a page of Lord of the Rings. I mean, you've got to ignore my little Dirty Dancing impression on the log here, but you get the vibe. The whole place is just magical, and it's steeped in local mythology. You can even find there's a little RSPB reserve here for the birds, and there's little nature maps and trail guides available online from the RSPB website. One thing I really love about driving on a solo road trip like this is that I'm not daunted by the 500 miles because the scenery up here is just stunning. You feel like you're going from one landscape to another. And when I was heading further north towards Groats and Dunnet Head, I loved looking at the little houses here, all swept up in the wind and breeze, and thinking what beautiful views over the coastline that they must see. I remember meeting some musicians once in Scotland who told me that the Shetland Islands especially have an absolutely raving pub scene when it comes to folk music. So if you're really into folk music, apparently the Shetland Islands is where it's at. Groats is a famous place not only because you can see the beautiful Orkney and Shetland Islands from when you're standing on the coastline there, but because of its famous signage. The crowds just absolutely love it here and come to flock here at Scene Point for the Jog, which is the Land's End to the Groats run, which you can either do by bicycle, by running, by walking. People do it on unicycles. My next destination from Groats is Dunnet Head. This is only a short drive from Groats, and the lighthouse here, which is no longer manned, is absolutely stunning. The lighthouse does work, it's just all automated, I believe now. They've got a huge RSPB reserve and it's like a bird hotel. The cliffs just have loads of nesting birds that live there, not only during the breeding season but all year round. So if you're a bit of a twitcher, take your binoculars and take a perch up on the cliffs there. I personally was getting battered by sideways winds, which is still in the aftermath of Storm Amy, but hey ho, it was still lovely as a view, so it's worth a stop off. One thing I really love about Scotland is that the driving scenery is just stunning. I feel like you can only drive for about 15 to 20 minutes at a time before the landscape completely changes all over again, like it's the turning of a new page in a book. So be prepared, because if you want to try and get somewhere quick, it's not going to happen. You're going to be pulling over and taking loads of photographs, or I know that's certainly what I'm doing. As I snaked around the coast here, I decided to stop off at some of the most lesser known beaches rather than the more popular ones, and I found an absolute hidden gem in Skerray beach. This is a pebble beach with a very small harbour and dramatic cliffs on both sides. There's a little campsite there where you can camp with permission, and it's basically just a field with some basic amenities. I saw dolphins in the bay here. To sleep here, you need to seek permission from the farmer who's in the farmhouse, which is just before the campsite entrance, and it's down a little bendy-wendy short track, so this wouldn't be suitable for like bigger motorhomes. I started to see the West Coast mountains peeking over the moorland, and a whole landscape just seemed to get so jagged with these huge mountains. And it's stunning. It's shaped this entire landscape so that it's filled with locks. You get these little peninsula islands as well, which you weave through, and these cool land bridges. So you start to feel like you're driving through an archipelago of like mountains. It's honestly, the driving scenery was absolutely stunning up here. The next stop was Ceannabeinne Beach. This is an absolutely stunning sandy beach in a shallow cove, which is well used by locals and also surfers. There's a really niche little community of surfers up on this north coast, and Thurso especially is a surfer's haven. Some of these sandy beaches and warmer waters protected by these coves make for perfect surfing conditions. The sea here is absolutely stunning, and because you're looking west, you also start to get the sunsets out over the water. I had a massive kudos for everyone I saw in the water because it was absolutely Baltic. However, the odds were not in my favour, and because of Storm Amy, the conditions were absolutely horrendous. So all the surf shacks and local places where you can hire a board and were unfortunately unavailable for hire, and they were telling people not to go in the water. So taking the safety advice of others and other surfers I spoke to, I decided not to wait the extra few days for the weather to hopefully improve because I'm on a tight schedule, and I moved further down the coast to my next destination. Smoo Cave is a stone grotto which can be found underneath an overhanging cliff. If you were driving past it, you wouldn't even know it was there. So my advice is look out for the signs and stop in the car park and then walk down and descend like you're going towards a beach. The cave is to your right hand side, and as you can see, it's all been carved out by the flow of water of a waterfall and river that flows straight through the heart of the cave. I would definitely say try to visit the cave after heavy rainfall because the waterfall is so powerful here, and you can stand pretty much right beside it and feel the full force of the mist on your face. Smoo Cave is also a really interesting geological site. They've even found inside the cave lots of different archaeological remains, including that of the Vikings. So people have been coming here and using this cave for millennia. As it's a free attraction, it's definitely worth a stop off, and because it's quite stealth, try not to drive past and keep your eye open for the signs. Leaving Smoo Cave and heading further west past Thurso, it's incredible how fast the scenery changes. I started to see huge wild deer just roaming around everywhere on these remote hills. We're now entering the most remote and wild part of Western Scotland. They say west is best, and if you're a mountain fan, you're going to absolutely love episode 4, where we start to descend down the west coast of Scotland before we head back to the Highlands. Join me next week for our adventures. I've also started a Patreon, so if you'd like to subscribe, then feel free to have a click below. You'll be able to access new posts, exclusive content, and you'll be able to see all of my YouTube videos ad-free. There's 2 different forms of subscriptions. There's one for a minimum of £3 a month and then another for £5. I'll also be hosting Q&A sessions every month. Thanks very much for watching and look forward to seeing you next week.